Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inspire Her podcast, where we celebrate the voices and achievements of African women through thought provoking discussions, insightful interviews, and inspiring stories from women making a difference in their communities and beyond. My name is Bolanle Onilupo, and I'm your host. And in today's episode, we will just be having a quick side chat on how we can better ourselves as women generally. And so today's episode is just going to be short and quick, and we'll be centering on why your routine matters. So my goal for you is to give yourself the chance to experience your best self as much as possible, right? We have 7 days in a week. So I think it will be personally great to be able to experience your best self at least 3, 4, 5 times in the week, if possible, 7 out of 7 days. But of course, we're human beings. That may not be always possible. But I think the most important thing is to ensure that you're setting yourself up for a good day, right? You're setting yourself up for a good day, not just trying to automatically set yourself up for a bad day or sabotage yourself even before the day begins. So as young women and people generally, there can be just so much going on in our lives at the same time: work, relationships, bills, period, school cycles, so many things going on. And so by the time you wake up, depending on what spectrum you are of that week or of that month, depending on what side, the moment you wake up, it's like there's a billion and one things to do. There are a billion and one things on your mind. You're trying to balance the work, the soft life, everything. And so sometimes everything can be muddled up. We get up, we're already stressed even before the day begins. We are probably already yelling at ourselves or yelling at the people around us, or just trying to rush and, carpool and get to work, right? And so sometimes what stops you from having a productive or a progressive day can be something as simple as your routine, right? How do you get up in the morning? How do you take breaks while you're at work? How do you respond to problems that surround you? How do you deal with distractions? And how do you go back to sleep at the end of the day, right? What is your routine when you come back home and, right before the next day, right? And some people may right off the bat tell you that, oh, I'm not a routine person, I'm not a morning person. But honestly, I feel like at this point in our lives, in this 2024, you are the person that you decide to become. Telling yourself that you're not capable of doing something because you haven't attempted to do it, or because it seems like something that is very difficult, is honestly just giving excuses at this point. If you want to become a certain type of person, it only takes certain amount of practice and just starting to become that kind of person. So if you've told yourself before that you are not a morning person or they are not a routine person, I think you have the opportunity to actually try to be, a different person and see how that actually works for you. And so I'm sure at this point you already know the importance of the routine, right? But here are actually some tried routines that different women, different people have tried, in the past, are doing currently. Even I'm doing some of it. I can't say I'm doing all of it, right? But I am doing some of it. And honestly, I think it has changed a lot of my outlook on life, even with dealing with people generally, and just having a positive outlook for the day, right? And so the first thing, usually when you wake up in the morning, for me, I think it's important to at least pray. If you're not the praying type, daily affirmation also works. Gratitude, putting out your gratitude for the day behind or whatever it is you're trying to profess or affirm into the day also works, right? So just start it off with a positive note, thanking God, thanking, for whoever it is that you have access to, thanking that person for, a new day, for a new opportunity. It could even be that perhaps maybe you're married, your spouse is beside you, and you just, when you wake up, you say good morning, give a hug. It could be with your kids, just something positive to start the day with, as opposed to carrying your phone and scrolling through social media. Because honestly, if like me, you have to get to work in the morning, the last thing you want to do is pick up your phone and go through social media. It might not even be that there's something negative on there. It might be that there are actually positives on your social media. But trust me, you're not going to scroll once, you're not going to scroll twice, you're probably going to scroll for a couple of minutes, erasing the actual, the time you actually have to get ready. But spending the time, specifically praying directly and saying, okay, this is what I want to achieve. Thank you, God, for waking me up this morning. Thank you for so and so. And this is the hope I have for the day. You get up. If you can, because we're not superhumans here, right? If you can, put in a stretch or two, an exercise or two. Personally, I like to skip in the morning before I go to work. So just put in 200 skips, 300 skips, whatever amount you can get in. And of course, by the time you exercise, you're definitely, the next thing to do is to go and shower and prepare for the day. Right? And once you're done with that, you've dressed up, you're ready to go, already positive, because there's a lot of good things that you've been able to tick off your list that morning. I think the next thing you do is actually try and set your priorities for the day. Personally, I like to keep it at top 3. So it doesn't mean now that I only have 3 activities to do for that day, or it means that I have to limit myself to 3, and after 3 I just go ahead and play. If that works for you, you can do that. But I put top 3 because those are the 3 things that I actually want to achieve. It's possible you have 5, 10. I don't think you should have that much, but perhaps you have 5, 10, and you may not be able to finish all of them that day. So it's important to actually set your priorities and say, these are the top 3 things that I want to achieve for today. And so even if you do 3 and then you have 5 in total, the mere fact that you finish the top 3 already gives you that boost of, okay, I've had a productive day. Okay, I've been able to clear the top most important things on my list. These things have gone, and therefore today has been a productive day. Today has been a successful day, as opposed to not having a list or doing things at random and not even being able to say, okay, this is what I've done. Because in most times, you may actually get work done, but because you can't pinpoint the certain work that you do or that you have done for that day, it then comes off as feeling like you haven't been productive. So if you can, it doesn't even have to be a journal, because I know a lot of people are, journals, this, that. It doesn't have to be very fancy if you're not the fancy type, right? You can just open a to-do list on your laptop. You can open a Microsoft to-do list. You can have a sticky note and just write the top 3 things that you want to achieve for that day, based off work, based off personal development, whatever it may be. Just put it down. And so as you do it, tick it. And if you have more things, feel free to keep putting them, but then at least that that you've hit your 3 goals for the day makes you feel all the more different, honestly. And then I think the next thing is to just ensure that you have a positive outlook. So through the day, you may make mistakes, you may have errors. Like me, I may send an email, I may miss, one word, I may have a typo, I may forget to do something, many things, right? I just try to have a positive outlook, because one mistake has the power to ruin your entire day if you allow it to. One person, one bad comment, one bad feedback has a way to just destabilize your entire day if you allow it to. But if you constantly practice looking at the positives of several of your day, then with time you may get used to just hearing critics and saying, okay, so this person is telling me this is the problem, or this is the problem that I've been able to identify, which is good, because then I'm able to see my problems. But it doesn't mean that should ruin my entire day. It just means I'm going to be more observant when I'm doing work or when I'm trying to do the work again, etc., etc. So just having a positive outlook generally, I think, makes all the difference in your routine, right? And so I think it's also important to have breaks, because sometimes when you spend your entire day just working, you may end up feeling burnt out at the end of the day, or stressed, and that then tends to affect the rest of your evening if you have plans later that evening, or if you want to put in a full workout. If there's anything you want to do for your evening, stressing yourself fully during the day has a way of making you feel very burnt out. So I think it's important that you give yourself that break. I mean, there is a reason why most offices or schools or whatever give a break time period. I do not think it's for fancy. I don't think it's something you have to overlook. Of course, you may not want to take your break the time that is specified, but you should try and definitely take a break. Get up from your chair, to a stretch, grab something to eat or snack or whatever the case may be. Take a walk if you can. Go to one of your friends' office or go to another office, come back to your office. Just take out time to actually give yourself a break, right? Another thing, try and limit distractions. I know someone who prefers to walk while probably watching something or scrolling through Instagram. If you're that kind of person, if it works for you, that's fine. But for someone like me, nah, one thing has to take priority. So I try to limit as much distraction as possible. That means until I'm done with a specific task, I try to not touch my phone, because probability is if I do touch my phone, I probably would have to respond to messages or do this or scroll through this or perhaps even start online shopping, right? And we all know how that goes. So my advice is to limit as much distractions as possible. It could be turning down your phone or upside down so you don't see notifications. It could be putting it on focus or putting on do not disturb. It could just be putting it in your bag so it's not in your line of sight. Whatever it is you can do to just limit distractions while you work on the prioritized tasks you have for yourself. And of course, once you're done, you can have a little break here and there to check and come back. But as you actually perform your tasks, it's important to limit distractions, because another thing I've also noticed is it also helps prevent errors. Because when you're distracted, it's very, very easy to overlook certain errors. Once your brain is divided in central and in different places, it's very possible that once you're looking at, you're trying to read through a document, trying to proofread a document, your mind is somewhere else already. You probably won't be seeing the errors that you need to, So yeah, it's important that you limit errors. And so these are some of the things that can help you throughout the day. So once your day is over, once you've been able to tick off your list, you've been able to prioritize your tasks, tick things off your task, you've had a, let's say, somewhat productive or even very productive day. How do you end your day? That is also very, very important. I think it's important to actually reflect on how your day went, see the things that you're able to achieve as opposed to what you were not able to achieve. So that would help tell into your next day top 3 list or your to-do list for the next day. It may even help you get that list written out without having to do it the next day, so that way you're already prepared ahead. So it's important you just reflect on what you've been able to do, whatever errors you've made, whatever things that you wanted to do. If there was some personal development that you were not able to get in, how can you get that in the evening, or even just plan for the next day. So it's very important to reflect and actually plan for your next day, right? I don't think if you've gone through the entire work to set out how your morning goes, how your work day goes, I think it's also important to ensure that you're also looking at how your evening goes, how you're winding down, how you're relaxing for the evening. Because at the end of the day, if you're all work and no play and no rest, well, you know how the saying goes, right? So if you have plans, if there are things you want to get done that evening, if there are places you want to visit, friends you want to see, it's also important how you prioritize that for the evening. So that way you're able to get those things done. You're able to see the people you want to see and enjoy your evening the way you want to enjoy it. And even the way you sleep, I think it's important that you actually, I know for some people, they say they can't. It's difficult to say, I'm going to bed at this time, right? They leave it to chance. Once they get to bed, press their phones, do what they can to eventually sleep. Again, don't hate it till you try it. Like, test it first and see if it works for you. Try actually telling your body, okay, this is the time I want you to go to sleep. What kind of environment do you create before you sleep that ensures you actually go to bed? What are the things you do? Is it white sounds? Do you count sheep? Whatever it is. Do you try and read a book? For some people, trust me, if you start reading that book, sleep will come. Sleep will definitely come. So what atmosphere are you creating to ensure that you can get the needed sleep that you need to? There are a lot of studies now that debate on if you need to have 8 hours of sleep or 7 hours of sleep or 6 hours of sleep, whatever the case may be. By the end of the day, definitely you need to have at least more than 5, more than 6 if possible. Maybe not 8, but you need to have enough sleep. So how are you ensuring that you are getting that needed sleep? It is the way you actually start to sleep before the night runs in, right? do you shower, do you brush? I know it's different for different people, but I'm sure there's a way that your sleep, the way, your preparation before your sleep affects your sleep. For some people, if you shower, and like I said, these things you try, you see how it works. If you shower, it may make you sleep even better. If you have a nice, nightcap, tea, whatever before you sleep, it may make you sleep even better. But I think being intentional to ensure that you're doing the things that pleases your body in the best way, to ensure that it gives you the needed rest that you need, or just to ensure that you are your best self, is very important. So I think it's important that you take out the time to know yourself like that. Know the things that help your body get the needed rest. Know the things that help your body get the needed productivity, and intentionally take out time to do it. You may forget on some days, which is fine. But at the end of the day, telling yourself that you're just not a routine person, or you just like to do things randomly, it's still a decision. So the days you remember, you're like, okay, how do I need to intentionally live for today? How do I need to intentionally live for tomorrow? Honestly makes all the difference, because then there's an intentionality in the way you work, in the things that you do, and it would eventually tell with time how productive you're going to be able to be, even with your business. Because if you are diligent and disciplined with the way you carry out your activities, that would definitely show in your business. It will show in your relationships. It will show in the way you interact with your children, etc. It will show in every different aspect of your life. So at the end of the day, the whole point I'm trying to make today is your routine matters, right? And there are a lot of books, there are a lot of other podcasts out there, there are a lot of YouTube videos to just help you create or curate that perfect routine for yourself, for the kind of person you are. So just take out the time to study, take out the time to research, and take out the time to learn what is actually best for you. And so that will be all for today's side chat and today's episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. As usual, I'd like to hear your feedback. I'd like to hear what you think. I'd also like to hear different types of routines that have helped you and possibly could help others. So it's important that you put that feedback in any way you can. Right? You can write to us. You can check out our social media handles of Inspire Her Africa on all social media platforms, that is Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. You can also write to our email as well, inspireherafrica.org. We look forward to hearing from you every time, and please do stay tuned for the next episode. Until then, thank you. Bye, guys.